Again in a second. All right, looks like we are live. Hello, everyone. This is San Gabriel Valley Mosquito and Vector Control District, and you're at the Bite Back Tour in the city of Duarte. We're actually going to go ahead and begin with introductions. So I'll start. My name is Levy Sun. I'm with the district here. We'll go around the circle. Go ahead, Christian.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christian. I am one of the education specialists here at the district.
All right, Pablo.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pablo, and I am the communication specialist here at the district.
Okay, and Ali?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ali Gaspar, and I'm the outreach assistant here at the district. And I'm also actually in Duarte in front of the statue of the founder.
All right, very cool. You're in the field. And we have two very special guests with us today. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Councilmember Schulz.
Hi, I'm Jody Schulz. I'm council member for Duarte for representing District 3, but really representing all of Duarte. So thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for joining us. And finally, we have Erin.
Hi, my name is Erin, and I am the outreach manager at Theodore Payne Foundation for Wildflowers and Native Plants. And thank you for having me. Excited to talk to you all today.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. So in the next half hour, we have a jam-packed schedule. But first up in the news, West Nile virus is active throughout San Gabriel Valley. What does this mean for you? Really, it just means to take the same steps you always will take whenever there are mosquitoes around, and that's to tip out stagnant water, toss out unused containers, and wear repellent. That's a key thing you can do. A lot of residents in Duarte have asked us, well, are you going to go ahead and spray? Right now, there are no planned schedules, area-wide treatments in Duarte or anywhere else in San Gabriel Valley. One thing we want to make clear, though, is that when we do any kind of area-wide treatment, it has to be because of a public health emergency, because that's actually considered a last resort. Any kind of treatment we do that targets the adults flying around Duarte is considered more of a short-term solution. Here at Vector Control, we actually prefer to follow long-term sustainable solutions, like I mentioned before, which is to get rid of the stagnant water and to use the repellent. So on the screen that Pablo just showed you is the transmission cycle and pathway of West Nile virus. Quite simply, West Nile virus is supposed to only exist or transmit between birds and mosquitoes, but because of the way we've urbanized Duarte and other cities here, birds are not always abundant, which means we obviously get bit, and that's how we get West Nile virus. So which repellents are the best to use? Well, stay tuned till near the end. We'll have Ali explain that. And then also something else we noticed that a lot of residents ask about is about the dense vegetation around their home. So what does dense vegetation mean for mosquitoes? Do they actually attract mosquitoes? Do they repel mosquitoes? We'll get into that in a bit with Erin. So first up, I just want to actually introduce the different departments here at our districts that you all in Duarte can understand what we do. And we'll start off with surveillance. You may see these folks driving around Duarte, setting up traps, or more specifically, mosquito traps, where they can collect the mosquitoes that are set, that are in the area. Then they take the mosquitoes and they send them out for testing for any kind of diseases they may carry. So Pablo just shared a screen here, and let me see if it is popping up. There we go. So on the screen, you'll see 3 of our surveillance staff setting up traps and also identifying the mosquitoes as they come into the lab. In addition to monitoring for any mosquitoes and diseases, they also help pick up any dead birds that may have been reported by Duarte residents. So a lot of Duarte residents will report dead birds to the westnile.ca.gov website. And then the state will then tell us, hey, there's this dead bird in Duarte, go ahead and pick it up. And if it's actually dead, we pick it up, we swab its beak, and we send out that little swab sample to the state for testing. That way we can know if West Nile virus is active in Duarte or not. So our surveillance team are our data generators. We pride ourselves in making informed decisions based off of science and data, and surveillance is our foundation for that. So from there, we move on to operations. these are our boots on the ground. These actually are the people that you might actually see most often around Duarte. They drive the white trucks, they have our logo on them, and they have uniforms like you see on the screen. And they're the ones that are out there tackling the public spaces, the gutters, the fountains, the ponds, even underground storm drains, they'll monitor. So anything that's in the public sphere, we tackle. What we can't go into very easily are people's backyards, patios, and even balconies. That's more of the private sphere. And we'll get into that a bit more later on how to tackle those. And then finally, oh yes, Pablo just showed a great photo of a swimming pool. So they also are responding to a lot of swimming pool reports. But something else that we do that some of you on Duarte may know about is our swimming pool texting program. So we every year fly a plane across San Gabriel Valley, and they identify any pools that may be green, dirty, or may look like the pool on the left where it's not quite filled. There's no pump running, and there's obviously no chlorine in there. And our operations team go out and work with the homeowners or property owners to resolve that issue so that the swimming pools don't become a public health risk. In fact, from one figure, if your swimming pool is like the one on the right, and if it's actually completely green and grody and disgusting, it can churn out about 3 million mosquitoes a month. That's a lot of mosquitoes biting in a neighborhood. So if you see any pools that are not functional, please report that to us at San Gabriel Valley Mosquito and Vector Control. Moving on from operations.
And maybe
Yes.
one quick note, just in regards to our pool program. It's a very, very easy program that we have worked on and have perfected or continue to perfect over the years. So as residents, when you do get the notifications, it's a simple text and photo proof. So it's very easy to make sure that you are in the clear, that your pool is clean and functional, or if it's not, we definitely work with our residents to make sure that we clean up the pools and make sure that they're not breeding mosquitoes. So I think that's something we like to emphasize, that it's a very simple process on the residents, and we're definitely here to help if the pool is unmaintained or anything like that, to prevent any future mosquito breeding sources in that pool.
Perfect, thank you.
Can I ask a question? This is Jody.
Yeah.
Regarding that, is there a cost associated for our residents if you come in and help them clean up their pool?
There's actually no cost per service appointment that we do with residents. And we don't, we actually will help them get to the point where their pool is not creating mosquito habitat. So their pool may still be not fully filled, but in certain cases, depending on the city ordinance, we may supply mosquito fish temporarily to eat the mosquito larvae while the homeowner is able to then fix and resolve the issue with the pool. Because sometimes not every resident has the financial ability to immediately resolve a pool issue. It may take a couple of weeks or a couple of months. In the meantime, we work with residents to make sure that their pools are not being a giant creator of mosquitoes.
Wow, I didn't realize there are mosquito fish. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, they're basically us with fins and gills, and they are voracious eaters of mosquito larvae. And we specifically only put them in sources like certain pools, but mostly in any kind of pond or water features that aren't circulating very well. And we try to also make sure that they're not put in bird baths either, because the birds love to feast on these little fish. And they're really hardy too. So some of your residents in Duarte actually may have mosquito fish in some of their water features around the home, and they can attest to how well they work in terms of eating all the mosquito larvae, making sure they're not gonna produce the mosquitoes. Now, one thing yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, one other question. To clarify, for the pools, if they have chlorine in them and are regularly used, things like that, they're not going to have this issue then, is that correct, with mosquito breeding?
Absolutely correct. So if your pool is chlorinated, you got a pump going, you're good to go. And then we've heard residents say, I would throw, for the pools that are not operating, they'll say, oh, I throw a bunch of bleach in there. I just shock the pool. with bleach. Now, the downside with that is that the bleach doesn't directly kill the mosquitoes, it kills off their food source. So mosquitoes may still survive for a little while after that, and it's still a very temporary solution. So ultimately, the goal is to bring your pool up to par with pump and chlorine, so that way you don't become a mosquito creation site.
Great, thank you.
So next we go into the next phase, which is usually our biggest one, that's education. We know through public health work that the biggest way we can move people from behavior that may cause mosquitoes to be created to a more bite-free Duarte is to educate the public. And we can't forget to educate the little ones. Those that are in our schools, they are usually the biggest driver of change in our community. If you recall, especially with the recycle, reduce, reuse campaigns from years ago, but it's still carrying on, where if you have a kid that sees their parent throw away something that could be recycled, the kid is going to shame that parent very, very quickly. So we have heard from a lot of students in Duarte where they would say that, oh, I had to tell my mom or my grandma to dump out that bucket of water. And the mom and grandma will embarrassingly nod and admit that. So our key folks that do the education, our education specialists, we actually have one of them in the field with us there. So Christian, how exactly do you take all this data, all this knowledge that we do, and bring it down to a point where it's packaged nicely for the students?
So our job is really to educate the students, as you're saying, right? And so taking these big concepts of public health and vector control and vector-borne diseases and distilling them down to like the main concepts that students really need to know, because they are our future, right? So we want to make sure that they know all of this information and are able to apply it at home. So what we do is we have our NGSS aligned programs. And so we teach students tied to the standards that they're supposed to be learning in school. So Caroline and I have done a lot of work to make this very interactive and make it fun for students and not just have a lecture, right? So we bring in different activities such as this. So this one is called Assessing the Danger, and students are trying to figure out if these sources will grow mosquitoes or not. So recycling bin, what do you all think? Can this grow mosquitoes?
I say yes.
I say yes as well.
Okay, well, we will find out. So they put it in here and they'll find a secret answer. So right here, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah.
Right here it says yes. So you all are right. So then students would just put this on, yes, this does grow mosquitoes. And so they go on to look at other different sources to see if these can all grow mosquitoes. And a maintained pool, which is what we were talking about, will not grow mosquitoes. So there's a no there. Yep. So another activity that we typically bring to classrooms would be on this side. And it's really just to get students to know what mosquitoes look like, what they should be looking for when they're in their backyards, because we do have citizen science programs that gets them out into their backyards, using their backyard as a laboratory, right? And trying to identify whether they have mosquitoes or not and getting rid of them. So we will bring in mosquitoes. Right here, it is hot, so they are resting down at the bottom. And then also stagnant water, which is where the aquatic stages of the mosquitoes would be. And so we have prepared slides so that they could see it, as well as these, so they could compare what a crane fly looks like, which is commonly mistaken for a mosquito, versus a mosquito, which is much smaller. So just trying to educate students in this way so that they can understand not all bugs are bad, right? Crane flies are great sources of food for little birds. So we want to keep these in our backyards and trying to eliminate mosquitoes, which are much smaller. So this is what we do. We go into classrooms. We also can go to summer programs or with troops, Girl Scout, Boy Scout troops, to educate. And if teachers are interested, they can sign up at vectoreducation.org. And you can find all of our programs, our classroom programs, as well as our citizen science programs there.
All right, thank you for sharing that. And quick question, Christian, in terms of the cost though, what does it cost for a teacher to book or a principal to book you guys?
Ooh, the cost is signing up, and that is it. So no cost. It is free. Yeah, so it's completely free to schools within our district. So all they got to do is just sign up, take a little bit of time to sign up, and then we will do everything else. So for our citizen science programs, we're the ones who email students, remind students to, keep on task. So we just need your students and your time, and that's pretty much it.
And Christian, this is Pablo real quick.
Yes.
For example, if I'm a teacher and I want to sign up my class, I just experienced a very stressful Zoom year with my students. Is this going to add more stress to me? Like, oh, I got to load this whole program on to my curriculum. Is this going to be a burden on me?
Right. That's a very valid question. We totally appreciate what you teachers have been doing for the past year at plus, right? So this should not, our goal is to not add more to your plate, right? So we're going to do all of the heavy lifting. It's really just about signing up, and then we will help your students out. And I will also say we can do our programs virtually or in the classroom. So you can sign up for either of those, and we will be happy to join you in either format.
All right.
And I just want to add really quick that for all teachers who are thinking about signing up, you definitely want to make sure that you do, because the kids talk about this for weeks on end after Christian and Caroline come and visit. And it's so cool to see them like playing at recess and chanting like larva, larva, larva in the background. So definitely, if you want them to have an awesome experience that they will cherish for the rest of the school year, this is one of our programs, the way to go.
Yes, and STEM right now is really pushing, 21st century skills and getting science to be outside of the classroom. And so this is a perfect way to get your students outside, getting them curious and getting them to understand the natural world. So, yeah.
Would you say the kids bug out with you?
Oh, they definitely
do.
Bug out. I see what you did there, Libby.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. I had to.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Christian. So we have a bunch of different programs and services that target different folks, at different life stages and also different residents. Actually, right now, if you're just tuning in, this is the Bite Back Tour in the city of Duarte. Welcome. If you have any questions, drop in a comment or in the comment box, or have any questions, could drop it into we have a little form down below underneath our website. So if you're watching from our website, it's right here down below. Let's go and move on to a common question we get is, okay, so we eliminate the stagnant water, but what is it about the vegetation around our home that can impact mosquitoes? Can plants draw them in? Can plants push them out? What we can say though, based on our audit of various properties, not only in Duarte, but throughout San Gabriel Valley, is that dense vegetation actually end up drawing in mosquitoes. And dense vegetation is anything that doesn't allow for free airflow to go between the stems of the plants or underneath the leaves. So an example here would be like ivy. Ivy is a common plant that a lot of residents I've heard in Duarte are trying to get rid of from their yards because it's just so persistent. But ivy, because of its large, waxy leaves, it provides a lot of humidity and coolness underneath. Mosquitoes are actually very terrible at cooling down at controlling their body temperature. So they rely a lot on the shade. So any kind of shade and cool areas and even humid areas we provide to them, mosquitoes are going to take advantage of that. So if your home looks like Jurassic Park, where you have dense vegetation everywhere, you're about to hear a T-Rex calling in the distance, you know that mosquitoes are definitely going to be around. So what's the solution here? Because I heard from a lot of Duarte residents say that, well, I want to get rid of this or trim it down, but I don't want it to look ugly. Well, this is where California native plant landscaping comes into play. And I actually want to turn it over to Aaron from Theodore Payne Foundation to talk a little bit more about what is it about California native plant landscaping that makes it beneficial beyond just reducing the amount of mosquitoes that are around the property. So Aaron, could you also introduce a little bit about what you guys do as well?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So California native plants are plants that have existed here for thousands and thousands of years. And so they're adapted specifically to this climate and weather, including drought. So these are drought tolerant plants for the most part. And so you're not going to have this stagnant water. It's going to reduce your water bill. And you will still have these plants that are thriving. And while it's not going to look like Jurassic Park, you do have, there's many plant species that are evergreen. And it's, I think when a lot of people hear California native plants, they get worried that, you know, we're asking them to just put in gravel and cactus and that's it. You can still have a really beautiful green landscape that's using way less water and is also supporting your local wildlife. So supporting butterflies, and your beautiful local songbirds. And so really creating a habitat that's going to be healthier for you and also for our entire ecosystem here. So.
And question for you, Erin. So at this point, some residents in Duarte may think, all right, I'm so sick of these mosquitoes and I want to just rip it all out right now. Is there anything, we're in the thick of summer and heat, is there anything to replace right now, or is there anything they can do to prepare to replace?
Sure, so that's a great question. And so, you know, right now we're in sort of the peak dry time of year. We probably have a few more months where it's going to be really dry. It is difficult to plant this time of year. It can be done. And so if you are ready to take action right now, we have a number of different plants that we recommend that can be planted this time of year. If you're just starting to think about it and you're in the design phase, that is even better, because what you can start doing is thinking about, you know, it's like different areas in your yard where you want to put new plants in. And then the best time of year to plant is actually the fall. So getting the plants in the ground at the same time that the rains start is going to allow a much more, it's going to create a much easier establishment for the plants because they'll have that rain and they're going into their growing season. Right now, all of the native plants are essentially sleeping. They're dormant. They're conserving their energy because they haven't had water for a very long time. And so it's a great time to think about design.
And Erin, if I want to start a design, but I have absolutely no idea where to even start with that, do you have any resources for that?
Absolutely. So it doesn't, people sometimes think they need to hire someone or get a fancy computer program to do a design. And all you really need to do is have a tape measure and paper and pencil. So you can just start measuring your yard, and that'll give you a sense of, you know, how much space you have, how many plants you're going to need. And then the two other really important things are knowing how much sunlight a certain area in your yard gets. And so just paying attention to see, is this full sun? Is this, you know, blasting sunlight all day long? Or is this a shady area with part sun? So you want to know your space, sun, and then the last one is soil. So 3 different S's. And for soil, what you're looking for is just understanding if you have fast draining soil or slow draining soil. And the best way to do that is to just dig a 12-inch hole and fill it up to the top with water, and then time how long it takes for that water to completely drain out. So if it takes 15 minutes, that's pretty fast. And if it takes, you know, an hour or 2 hours, that's pretty slow. And so some of our native plants have adapted with these different drainage types. Some plants are very adaptable and will grow in any soil. But some are a little bit more particular and want either fast or slow draining soil. So there's nothing bad about whatever kind of soil you have. It'll just help you select plants that are really going to thrive where you live.
Erin, I have a question if I could. This is Jody. Yeah. Are there actual plants that repel mosquitoes?
Not that I know of. That's a great question though. Maybe, do you know if there are plants that repel?
There are a lot of plants out there that are marketed as repellent or have repellent properties. The downside with those is that many of them don't realize you have to actually crush the leaves to express the oils from the leaves themselves. And that's a lot of work for someone to go around crushing leaves around their home. In fact, the only thing I can think of where it may repel is not so much repel, but discourage harborage. So that's where a lot of some of the plants, like for our California natives, that some have been called repelling or have repelling factors, but really it's just because they don't have the large leafy, large leaves and thick stems that actually harbor mosquitoes, so they don't bring in the mosquitoes there. So unfortunately, I wish there was a plant that can 100% repel. And also the downside with some of these plants is that they don't grow very tall, even if they're marketed as repellent mosquitoes. So mosquitoes can fly well over that hedge or that plant and into the yard.
Great, thank you.
Mhm. All right, thank you so much, Erin, for giving us some insight into how to better improve our property so that we can improve the biodiversity around our home, because that's key. The goal is to push out all these non-native species of mosquitoes, like the Aedes mosquitoes. Some people have called them the ankle biters. They're black and white, they bite during the daytime, and they're super aggressive, and they actually don't belong in Duarte. But the more California native plants you put in place, the less likely these type of invasive mosquitoes are going to want to linger around. Really quick, if you're just watching, this is the Bite Back tour in the city of Duarte. Big shout out to Supervisor Catherine Barger's office for retweeting this and posting this out there and having your followers tune in. We're gonna go ahead and dive into something that we teased in the very beginning, and that's repellent. We have about 2-3 minutes left, and I want to throw it over to Allie. If you can just tell us a little bit more about which repellent people should look for and maybe how to apply.
Sure, Levy. Well, especially because it's still summer and everything. We've got intense heat and intense mosquitoes sometimes. You want to make sure that you are using both. So go ahead and put on your sunscreen first, and then put on your mosquito repellent on top of that. And the reason why is because this should always be the outer layer to shield your skin from mosquitoes and their bites. So basically what I like to suggest is make sure you're always paying attention to the ingredients. You should always be applying one of the following 4 ingredients that are CDC recommended. And they are oil of lemon eucalyptus, picaridin, which is the one I'm going to use, DEET, and IR 3535. I'm currently using sort of like a spray one, but they come in different forms, in aerosol forms, in lotion forms, and even in wipes. I find that the kids actually like wipes a lot more because for some reason they're afraid of the aerosol. But when spraying on children, you want to make sure that as an adult, you are applying the repellent onto spray your hands first, and then apply to wherever you're going to do it. Okay. But when it comes to applying, you want to apply evenly on exposed skin. And you don't need to overdo it. You just need to do a couple of sprays on any exposed skin, meaning your arms and your neck and your face. And when it comes to your neck and face, whether you're an adult or a child, you also just want to make sure that you as an adult are spraying into your face and then applying there. You don't want to just ever spray your face. And make sure with your kids that you are checking with your pediatrician about the ingredient, which you can do by either physically taking the bottle that you're going to use, or you can go to our website and you can go ahead and download our ingredient list, which can help your pediatrician and yourself decide as a parent how to apply. And you can always find these at any grocery store or any place with like a gardening aisle or an outdoor section. And they usually have them, and you can always order them online as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Allie, for that. If you're just tuning in, this is the Bite Back tour in the city of Duarte. We are rounding out this episode here in this tour stop. We're going to go ahead and dive into one last thing, and that's our closing remarks. I just want to say, if you're in Duarte and you are sick of these mosquitoes, and you're ready to rally with your neighbors with us against them, let's bite back together. We have a program called the Bite Back Program, and it is meant to work with you to find localized, sustainable solutions to get rid of these mosquitoes, or at least bring them down so they're not such an incessant biting issue around your home and around your neighborhood. So you can sign up online at bitebackchampion.org. If you're already watching this live stream on our website, you're already there. So feel free to navigate further down and sign up to become a Bite Back champion. Otherwise, you can head over to our main website. You can email us at outreach@sgvmosquito.org or call us at the number posted on the screen at 626-814-9466. Let's go ahead and dive into closing remarks. Let's go around the room here. Let's see. Pablo, any closing remarks from you?
Yeah, definitely. Just reiterating what Ali said about mosquito repellent. That is the most effective way we can protect ourselves from mosquito bites. And show you, and I have a quick special guest I want to show you that I have here, which are mosquito larvae, which a lot of people, and I know we are not very familiar with, but this is what mosquito larvae look like. So if we see these swimming around in stagnant water, we definitely want to tip out that water, toss the unused container, and then protect ourselves using mosquito repellent. So again, if we see these guys swimming around, you can see how small they are. People tend to think they're tadpoles. You do not want to keep these guys around. So just simply by tipping them out onto a dry surface or on the grass, they will dry up and that will kill off the mosquito larva. It's a lot easier to kill off the larva than 50 adult mosquitoes flying around.
Oh, look at the one in the center that was eating. How gross. Well, thanks for showing off our uninvited guests. Next on this, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, I wanted to just encourage teachers to sign up for our citizen science programs, so VIP and GRID. And during that time, when they are collecting samples of the students, they sometimes bring in interesting little critters. I don't know if Pablo has some to show, but yeah, so teachers can sign up at vectoreducation.org. And once again, oh yes, there they are, our rat-tailed maggots, pretty gross looking critters.
And kids find this and as part of the citizen science project?
Yes, sometimes kids, yeah, so they'll
gross.
bring in water and there's a bunch of different critters that are in there. We've had some rat-tailed maggots come in. So yeah, but really fun program. So teachers, get on our website and sign up.
Lovely, right before lunch.
Right? Doesn't it make you more hungry?
Oh yeah. Thank you, Pablo. Next on closing remarks, Ali.
Hi, everyone. I just want to remind you guys to sign up to be a Bite Back champion. We actually don't have that many Bite Back champions here in Duarte. So this is your perfect opportunity to make sure that you're tackling mosquitoes at the grassroots level, literally on your street, by signing up at bitebackchampion.org. It is the easiest thing, and I promise we work with you together to come up with real solutions that help you and all of your neighbors.
And we'll pivot over to our special guest. I will start with Erin. Any closing remarks?
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, I would just say, if you're curious about native plants, you should definitely come out and visit. We're located in Sun Valley, and we're at 22 acres in a canyon, and we have, in addition to the nursery, we have beautiful demonstration gardens. So you can really see what a native plant landscape looks like, and get some ideas and inspiration. So I hope to see you all out here. And I always learn something new. Those rat-tailed maggots are going to haunt my dreams, you guys. But amazing work. And yeah, hope to see you out here.
Yeah, and we will leave the rat-tailed maggots behind when we visit you.
Excellent.
One good thing though to point about the rat-tailed maggots is when they become adults, they're just fly mimics. They're perfectly harmless, but the larvae definitely are very alien looking.
Yes,
oh, awesome. We love fly mimics.
Yes, butterflies.
They are beneficial insects.
Yes, they are pollinators.
Oh, well, then they're very welcome.
Okay,
They're just
we'll
not
bring
very
them
cute.
along. Yeah.
I just realized too that every time Erin is on here, we have something crazy to show her, which is insane. So sorry, Erin. At the same time, I'm glad we make it interesting.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, and finally, closing remarks from Councilmember Jody Schulz.
Well, this is great information. Thanks for having me. I hope that our residents take advantage of the services you provide. Should they have stagnant water standing or any kind of pool issues that aren't functioning. So thank you so much for all that you're doing, and please keep me posted on how I can help.
So thank you so much for joining us today, and to the rest of Duarte and the residents, Please stay healthy and stay bite free.